Is fan outrage new? Well, if you read current articles, it sure seems like it is. But the reality is, none of this is new. We've seen it all before. Let me explain. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. One of the things that if you've listened to a lot of my shows and you've known me for a while, interacted with me, I'm not the best ally to anyone because, in the sense that I have a sense of what I think the facts are and what I think is true, and if if something is I think wrong, I stay pretty consistent to my beliefs. And one of the things I note a lot in the comics field, a lot of fields, but you see it a lot in the art community and the comics community, is that you're expected to kind of change your ideals based on the situation of the person talking. And what I mean by that is it's very to me it's very hypocritical. It's like, well, this kind of mobbing and trolling and harassing is bad. But if we do it to people we don't like, then it's justified. It's okay. And in my mind, it's never justified. So I've had struggles in the past with groups because I'll say, hey, I think that for example, some of the behavior that some of the creators have done on social media, I think is wrong. And some of the attacks that have gone on, and some of the sending a picture of your butt to somebody else is wrong. That's so you've lost the plot. It's not right. It's incorrect. However, turning around and then doing, for a fan to do the same thing to a creator is also wrong. And some have justified it saying, look, these people are professionals. These people are selling the book, so they need to be held to a higher standard. And on a business side, that's probably true because they are, responsible for a product line. They're responsible for business. They're not just some random person on the internet. They actually have some business responsibilities. So that's absolutely true. However, from a moral side or from just a decent human being side, no, it's equivalent. You shouldn't be sending a picture of your butt to people. It's just that's uncalled for, whether you're a fan, whether you're a creator, whoever you are. And so I think that line is the same for everyone. And there is this general sense that goes on of, it's well, this is justified. We've got to punch back, and hey, they fired the first shot. At some point, it no longer matters who fires the first shot. It just matters how you're going to stop. But as I got into this about fan outrage, so fan outrage is something that I read a lot of articles and it bugs me because I see stories come out that say, back in 2016, 2017, Comicsgate was born, and suddenly angry fans appeared from the alt-right and they started trashing comics. And this has never happened before. Fans always just seemed to accept what was going on, or maybe had passive little calm disagreements, but there was never any of this anger that exists today. And the reality is that's completely untrue. The thing that's different today from say 20 years ago is that we have social media, so we have the ability to kind of spread that anger and make it more visible faster. But I was reminded as I'm working to get an interview lined up with Ron Mars. He's a guy, and this is what I want to talk to him about, who wrote and got a story done with Hal Jordan turning to Parallax and kind of that whole fall from grace side of of Green Lantern, and people were pissed at him. I mean, really pissed. There was anger in the comic shop. There was anger at cons. There was angry letters and mail. I'm curious what was ever kind of got to him, but my understanding is that there, at least from some people at DC at the time, was that there was death threats and there was angry letters, and there was just pure fan anger and rage sent his way. So is that different from today? It not really. It's just the method of which that message is getting distributed and put out there is different. But the fan outrage is always been present. It's just the vehicle to express it is different. So when I see these articles talking about how, you know, suddenly there's the revenge of fandom. Angry fans who don't like the new Star Wars. I mean, that's another great example. Is when the trilogy came out, you had that first movie with young Anakin, and you had Jar Jar Binks, and you had all those. You had angry people who called it trash and were tearing up their Star Wars. I remember there was news story on the news, like on the old school TV news, where they're like, these fans are burning their Star Wars stuff because they thought these movies were so crappy. And that's that's is that much different from people today who say I hated the Ryan Johnson film? It's not. And I think it's important to remember that and realize that for two reasons. First, I think people get themselves alarmed by this idea that suddenly, out of nowhere, there's this legion of angry fans that were happy before, but now have suddenly turned mean and vicious and are coming at you. It's the way it's described today smells way too much like a scare tactic, like fear, like we've got something really dangerous that we need to be aware of and worry about, and that's not healthy. It's important to recognize threats for what they are and what they aren't. And if you're coming out with the idea that suddenly fans are super pissed and they're doing dangerous things, then you're injecting fear into a situation that doesn't need fear. I'm not saying you just kind of ignore all these. If people are acting crazy, ignore it. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that this has happened before and we survived. The life went on, and so it helps to remember the past, just like in the same way that comics, once upon a time, did have troubles. In the 70s, DC imploded and canceled like nearly half of their comic line and fired a bunch of people. It's not like everything was peaceful, happy bliss until YouTube came out and people were able to start making videos about it. But the other reason why I think it's so important to remember the past is that today there's this habit of wanting to assign more weight or more significance to things than what it actually deserves or what it actually has. So if fans are angry at Ryan Johnson's The Last Jedi movie, then that doesn't make them all neo-Nazis, dangerous racist bigots. It doesn't make everybody that, because back when there was Star Wars Episode 1 with young Anakin and people were saying Jar Jar was evil and bad, those people were not labeled the alt-right terrible people. They were just maybe they were labeled annoying, maybe they were labeled angry fans, but you didn't assign all this additional baggage to them. They were just annoyed. And today we're not comfortable just saying these fans don't like something or these fans are annoyed by something. We want to assign all these bigger, scarier things to them. It's possible that you didn't like The Last Jedi and you didn't like the characterization, you didn't like the movie and the plot, and you're not a racist. As it turns out, it's possible. Does that? It's just. Hopefully, you guys are understanding what I'm saying here, which is just that when you start to assign more and more and more weight to things, it starts to topple over, and then suddenly everybody's fighting, everybody's angry about the wrong things. I mean, put it this way: if everybody who disliked The Last Jedi, or let's say Miss Marvel, the comic book, if everyone who disliked it was a secret bigot racist, then you'd have a big, nice, identifiable group to to go deal with. I mean, that sounds weird to say it that way, but I wish it was that easy. I mean, there are hateful, bad people in the world. There absolutely are. There are racists and there are bigots out there in the world, and but they're not easily found by people who don't like Miss Marvel. That would be super nice if it was that easy to identify who all these people are, but it's not. It's the same kind of thing with the Joker movie. If it was true that the only people who are going to go see the Joker were dangerous, about to go on a murderous rampage incels, then awesome. You just post a couple police in that movie, and people buy the ticket. They come in, they watch the movie, you put cuffs on them, and you haul them right out. I mean, That's like a Civil War II plot now, predictive justice. Hopefully, I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek, extreme here. I'm just saying it's not that easy. It's the majority of people who don't like Miss Marvel just don't like Miss Marvel for no other reasons. Same thing with Last Jedi. Maybe people just didn't like the plot. Maybe people didn't enjoy seeing what was a nearly 3-hour movie that's equivalent to the O.J. Simpson slow motion car chase, but in space. Maybe, just like back in the day, maybe people did not like turning Hal Jordan into an evil psychopath and making him paralyzed. Maybe people didn't like that. They can just not like it. It's okay to not like things, and it's okay if other people don't like things. It doesn't make them the worst people in the world. So assigning them those labels is just, it's doing everybody this disservice. Fan outrage isn't new. Fan outrage has existed for a long, long time. It's just that we're putting labels on it to make it significant, to sell headlines, to get those clicks. And for what? I mean, somebody's profiting off of it. I mean, the news groups, the people who post the articles are profiting off that. But that doesn't mean we have to go along with it. It doesn't mean we have to do the news agency's work for them by helping them get their clicks and get their money. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just the guy left out. If there was a note out there somewhere that if we helped contribute to this cultural phenomenon, if we helped say these things, that we would get a revenue share of these websites and this news. I mean, are you guys getting commission? Are you getting a payoff from CNN when we spread the fans outrage stuff? I mean, because if so, sign me up. I mean, I will flip on a dime, start doing those angry videos and go right to it. But as far as I know, none of us are getting that revenue share for spreading this stuff around. So let's stop. Let's stop feeding this beast, because it's not helping our society. It's making things seem a lot scarier than they actually are, and it's just putting money in the pockets of other people for nothing. It's possible to love and dislike things for no apparent reason. I like Coldplay. I'm not. I mean, a lot of people don't. I like parts of Rick and Morty. A lot of people don't. That's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody likes things for no apparent reason. A lot of people dislike things for no apparent reason. And that's existed since the dawn of time and will continue to exist. And that's all perfectly normal. And so maybe everybody can just take a deep breath, relax, and realize that, yeah, I mean, the social media being a megaphone to amplify this outrage, yeah, it's tough and it sucks. And, good news, Twitter will, the odds of it surviving in the next 15 years are very low. So, life will move on and change, and hopefully we'll have some more responsible ways to distribute our anger so it doesn't artificially kind of boom out of control. But the anger itself, it's not new, and it's not as scary as people make it out to be. So let's all just relax. At least try. There's lots of things to be worried about. This one shouldn't be one of them. I'm just saying. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. How do you escape kind of the drumbeat of outrage? And do you see this too, that the news, the media, the different clickbait sites, that they really love this whole concept? And do you see that? Is that something that you find? Would love to know your thoughts on it. Leave me a comment below. Like, subscribe if you don't mind. Always, your subscriptions help tell me that I'm on the right track, and that's always very much appreciated, each and every subscriber. Thank you very much. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.